Hello all. Happy December the 1st. So we're in the final month of the year. And I wanted to talk a little bit about making a review, checking in with ourselves, and obviously, as always, because you know I love self-love, and a little bit of magical self-love too. Now, I'm sorry I'm not on video today, but I wanted to get something out to you that was me speaking, but also bringing maybe a message of love and of magic and of potential. I think it's been so tricky over the last 2 years for any of us to make sense of our worlds. And with this message, what I want to do is kind of bring some hope. I can't promise hope, but I can bring some hope, right? What I want to say is, can you take this month, this beautiful final month of the year, whether you are in the winter season or you're not, or whether you celebrate Christmas or you don't, what I feel for this month, what I really would like to sort of encourage maybe, is, even for myself actually, is that each one of us step into our magical selves. Now, I don't know if you remember being a child and how you had so much faith in something coming to pass. And yes, I know, as time went by, maybe disappointments yanked that rug from under your feet and you ended up falling on your back and going, well, it doesn't really seem as if this potential possibilities can actually really happen. So what I'm asking now, or saying now, even for me, like I said, is that we step into that movement of belief, that I say movement because it's like energy, okay? The energy of when you believed in something so big, even so small, was so profound and so all-encompassing because you trusted. And so what I'm saying is, let's use December 2021 to step into our trust element. When I do coaching, self-love, spiritual, life, whichever one really, one of the things that often comes up is probably one of the biggest things actually, is our lack of trust and faith in ourselves. Obviously, the underpinning overarching thing there is self-worth and esteem, and then confidence kind of trickles in underneath that. Yet, I say this with everything, and especially when I coach. Remember, we can't be confident all the time, just as we can't be happy all the time. We can only be who we are, right? So, for today, my message would be, and it's a beautiful one for the 1st of December, because I really, you know me, I love my sparkles. I love self-love. And I love the idea that self-love can bring us to a space of deep understanding where then we have relationships that are so much more beautiful, so much more inspiring. Of course, you're going to go through the tricky parts, the slushy bits, the difficult parts, the treacle wading bits, right? You are going to go through those, especially when it comes to relationship, because relationships are really kind of heavy duty ways of teaching us and pulling us into more evolution. So they force us all, in some ways. I say force, but it's not really force, although it can be if we resist. But we are brought to this understanding of growing ourselves into higher potential awareness, right? So on that note, then what do we do this month to kind of recalibrate? Because that's what we're doing. We're going to recalibrate ourselves. So we've got the new moon in Sagittarius on Saturday, and I will hopefully do a report for that. But I am kind of tired, so hopefully I'll do it. We'll see. So we've got that new moon in Sagittarius, the centaur. We've got that energy coming through. So we're going into an intention space. We're moving into a space of bringing something in. So take these few weeks from Monday, take the time to really hone in to what you really want for 2022 to look like. Okay? Nothing happens by accident. It happens on purpose. So to be on true purpose, and do you get that? Be on purpose. Everyone's looking for their purpose. So be on purpose. Figure out what you'd really like. Now, I'm going to say this as a top tip, and this is a huge one from me, right? when I coach people and when I help people, one of the biggest things I find is that people want too much. They want to achieve too much in a 12-month span. Think of a whole life, okay? Probably about 80 to 90 years old you're going to get to, okay? That's 80 or 90 years. When you try and do all of those things that are meant to happen in the whole 80 or 90 years in 1 year, you're going to burn yourself out, okay? So what you're being asked to do here in a very gentle way is to have a focus. So one thing, what would you like to do next year? What would you like to achieve next year? I have a focus. I'm not going to tell you because it's a secret. And you will see it coming up in the future. But yeah, I've got lots of focus. You know what I'm like, constantly doing something. So have an overarching something. I don't know. For me, this year it was to get my yoga teacher training qualification. And I achieved it, and I have it now. And I did also put in get a class fixed up, which I tried, and it hasn't really come to pass, but it's okay, because the umbrella is the top thing. It's the one that you need to kind of create, okay? That's the one you're going to do, okay? And then what you do is, so let's use my yoga as an example. So I wanted to do my yoga teacher training. Then underneath that, I had things like understanding Dharma, understanding the yogic perspective and the philosophy of life, and learning more about life in general. I had these things. So what you could do is have your overarching theme, whatever it is. Maybe you want to train to be something, or maybe you want to move back into a hobby that you left behind. So put that at the top. And then underneath it, just put the little things that you can achieve. But they have to be strands of that big umbrella so that you can achieve. You see, often what we do is we put about 4 overarching themes at the top. And then we are lucky if we achieve even one of those, because we're overstretching ourselves. Also, and this is really just my own personal thing, I really do not go or prescribe to this January New Year's resolution thing. And I think lots of people have kind of dropped it by the wayside, and some people have goals, and this would be a goal, for example. And other people just ignore the 2 months. As I live in the wintry season, and February and January tend to be quite tricky over here. We do tend to see snow sometimes in that time of year, or it gets a lot colder and bustlier. No one really wants to do too much. Everyone wants to kind of like just, you know, batten the hatches and put warm clothes on and just sort of disappear for a few months, which is fine, because that's fine, because we deserve that. And what better than to start a new year with that gentleness, okay? Think of it as if you planted a seed on January the 1st. So we've got a month to sort that out. Think of it as that. And think of it as it takes a 12-month seed. So it takes 12 months to germinate. And your seed from this year is germinating now. So allow that to come to fruition, and then you're starting again in a new cycle, right? So bring that to being, right? And when you've brought that to being, then you can have those January and February months to just allow it all to settle in, to give yourself pause, give yourself reflection. And then in March is when you birth. You start birthing that newness, the vibrancy, and something different for your life. But that is the point where you make deeper, stronger commitments to what you're going to achieve all the way through to December. You really bring that into being. Now, in January and February, you are making sure you are doing the things that you need to do to put it into being. So, example would be, for example, say you were going to learn to drive. In January and February, you'd get in contact with the driving instructor. You'd maybe get books and stuff around doing your written test, if you have them where you are. Over here in the UK, we do have written tests. So you get that, and you start maybe making some understanding and deepening your knowledge around those two things, getting ready and booking your appointments in and being ready to start that ball rolling. So look at it that way. But remember that you can create from a space of understanding. So now back to December, because I went all the way into January, didn't I? I completely forgot about December. So back to December. So you're going to review this year and look at what you didn't achieve that you put on your list. Now I'm going to say be really vigilant and strong in this, and be honest as well. Did you give yourself too much to do? Could you break all the things you did not achieve down to things that could span 5 years or 6 years? Because often that is the case, you know. Often what we do is we try and make ourselves do so much, and then we feel like a failure because we gave ourselves too much anyway. You can't fail if the potential of achieving what you were given is impossible. I used to have a job many years ago, and my boss was crazy. Her idea of what was potential and possible was just insane, really. And there was a lack of understanding there. Some of us work in different ways. Some of us are slightly slower, and with my dyslexia and dyscalculus, I can be slower, right? But they'd give us work and say it needs to be done in 4 days, and it was work for a week, and you just couldn't potentially do it. There was no possibility. And remember that when you think on what you're giving yourself. This is what I always say. For a year, you have one big overarching theme, and you have lots of under bit that's underneath it. But so long as you achieve your overarching theme, it doesn't really matter whether you get those other bits done. Then let's go into a week, for example. In fact, no, let's break it all the way down to a day. So for a day, what you'd have is you had one thing that you need to do. You need to do that day. And then you'd have little things that you can put in along with that. Maybe 3 more things, but nothing big there. Smaller things so that you can create momentum. And by the end of the week, you'll have had 5 things that you needed to do that are achieved, right? Give yourself that possibility, trust in yourself that you're capable of doing it that way, right? So as I say, you're going to review the year, and you're going to look at what you put in as this year's stuff, and you're going to really take pause. Like I said, be honest. So get a book, a journal, or talk into your phone's recorder if need be. What did I want to achieve? And what haven't I achieved? And be realistic, like I said. If it wasn't possible for you to do it all in a year, congratulate yourself for what you have done, and be loads and loads more realistic for next year. Start 2022 with that knowledge. Now, 2022 is akin to love, so it brings in the idea of love. It's a year of understanding relationships, understanding our love connections. It also relates to an opportunity. So there'll be an opportunity there, but remember, these opportunities will kind of be quick as a flash. So be aware next year that something might come to pass that you may be able to grab with both hands. Now, obviously, be careful as well, and be really vigilant, and notice what works for you and what doesn't. Okay, so if an opportunity comes and it seems too good to be true, then maybe it is too good to be true. But be honest with yourself. Do you want that? What do you want? So for example, I got an opportunity. It was this month. Oh no, it was last month, because we're in December, obviously. So it was last month. And the opportunity doesn't feel right. And it's also not what I want. I don't want to be feeling like I had to do something in a particular way to make a certain thing happen. Sometimes it's hard because it could look so golden and shiny, and we think, well, this is what I want. This is what I've always wanted. What does it matter if I do it this way? Yet be really strong in how you question yourself around this. Okay, so to wrap it all up, take this month, these 2 weeks, from Monday, to give yourself time to bring in your intention for 2022. Make it really big and strong, and really look at what you achieved this year. Really be strong on what you achieved. Really tick those boxes and make yourself feel good about what you did, okay? So I qualified in my yoga. I did it. Whatever happens, I've got it now, okay? And I can go off and help you guys and teach yoga and teach all the beautiful stuff that it brings through, should I want to, right? And when the opportunity arises. So look at the things you achieved. And look, if you feel you didn't achieve anything, be really gentle and loving with yourself. And look at the things you did achieve, okay? Go back to diaries if you write them, and even if it's just a normal work diary, have a look at the things you achieved over the year. You would be surprised at how much happens over a year that we do not give ourselves credit for and we do not notice. So look at those wins. That's the first thing. And then from those wins, look at what next year is going to be for you. Find your overarching theme, one thing, remember, and 3 things underneath. 3 small, they're medium-sized, okay? And then smaller things underneath the medium-sized things, and be really careful with that. If you want help with that, feel free to email me. I'm happy to share tips and tools about that. And then finally, once you've got that all into some kind of understanding, so you've either written it down, spoken it out loud, spoken to a friend about it, spoken on your recorder on your phone, then bring that into being through January. And then when we hit the new moon there, you can re-intentionalize, you can re-internalize it and really bring it into purpose. I think it's so important because we've had some really tricky years, two tricky years, or two insane years actually. One was balance and getting foundations in place, and whether we did that or not remains to be seen. And then the other was a lot of movement. So this year was the year of movement. Whether you realise it or not, you would have made some movement changes. Whether you realise it or not, they will be there. And like I say, next year steps into loving connection, relationship, and how we treat each other and how we behave as a human species as a whole, really. Because really, what we want is harmony on earth and potential greatness and goodness. And that's true evolution, that's true love. And because we're all so beautiful souls, and we connect into deep love, then yeah, next year is definitely going to be the year of self-love. So start with self-love. And you know what you could do, and it's a beautiful one actually, and this is just on a personal level, you could make that commitment to self-love, make that commitment to bringing deep love into yourself, because when we do that, when we bring deep love into our own core energy, it reflects outwards, and then our relationships and everything that we deal with becomes as loving and beautiful as we would love it to be. Anyway, darlings, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here, for following me, for being part of my community. I love you all, really, I really do, and I care about you so much. No, maybe I haven't met you, however, I feel that connection is much deeper than the energy of being in physical space with one another. Of course, physical is important. We need touch. We need to be in the presence of other human beings. Would never negate that, because I think that's really important. I think we've learnt it very deeply over the last 2 years. But yeah, just remember that you are loved, and there's always someone there that cares for you. Sending you so much love. Namaste, everyone. Take care. Lots of love. Me. Kisses. Bye.